Welcome to the Middle East. Did you know that the Middle East is often called the cradle of civilization? Thousands of years ago, in lands that seem almost timeless today, mighty civilizations like Mesopotamia, Sumer, Babylon, and the Persian Empire were rising. People were inventing writing, building grand palaces, and creating stories and traditions that still echo through history. Here, in the heart of the Middle East, every corner tells a story. From ancient ruins buried under golden sands, to bustling markets alive with colors, smells, and sounds, it's a region where the past and present meet in the most magical way. So, what makes this land so special? And why do its stories still captivate us thousands of years later? Stay with me, and you'll discover secrets of the Middle East that almost no one talks about. What if I told you the blinding white cliffs in Turkey aren't snow, ice, or salt? They're stone, sculpted by the hot water that had been flowing non-stop for thousands of years. This place is called Pamukkale, the Cotton Castle. "17 hot springs flow down the hillside here, carrying water heated between 35 and 100 degrees Celsius. As the water reaches the surface, it releases carbon dioxide and leaves behind calcium carbonate. Layer after layer, this mineral hardens into travertine, building the bright terraces step by step. The formation is enormous, about 2,700 meters long, 600 meters wide, and 160 meters high. From across the valley, the white surface shines so brightly it can be seen from 20 kilometers away. The pools formed along the slopes are shallow, allowing visitors to walk barefoot and dip their feet in the warm water. In 1988, Pamukkale was added to the UNESCO World Heritage List, protecting its surreal beauty for future generations. Now, before we move on to the next destination, here's a fun question for you. Which country is the birthplace of Persian Empire? Comment your answer below. Forget Mars or the Moon. If you want to see an alien world, you don't need a spaceship. You just need to come to Socotra, an island unlike anywhere else on Earth. Socotra split from the Arabian Peninsula about 80 million years ago, and ever since, life here has evolved in isolation. More than 1/3 of its plants exist nowhere else on the planet. The island is about 132 kilometers long and 42 kilometers wide, yet it holds hundreds of unique species. The most famous is the dragon blood tree, with its umbrella-shaped crown and red sap once traded as medicine and dye. Socotra also has two distinct monsoon seasons. From June to September, strong winds make travel nearly impossible. From November to January, heavy rains turn the island green, but they also wash out many of the roads. The best time to visit is between February and May, when the seas are calmer and the weather is easier to enjoy. In 2008, UNESCO recognized Socotra as a World Heritage Site, protecting its rare biodiversity and unique way of life. If you are watching this, please click the subscribe button in the corner of the screen. It's completely free, but means a lot to us. They call it Tuz, the Salt Lake. Born from volcanoes and shifting earth, it now stretches like a giant mirror across the Anatolian plain. With a surface area of 1,665 square kilometers, it is the second largest lake in Turkey and one of the largest hypersaline lakes in the world. It sits in a tectonic depression and is fed by streams, groundwater, and surface water, but it has no outlet. For most of the year, the lake is shallow, only about 40 centimeters deep. In summer, the water evaporates, leaving behind a thick layer of salt that can reach 30 centimeters. That salt is harvested by 3 mines on the lake, which together supply 63% of all the salt used in Turkey. In October 2021, Lake Tuz dried up completely, a striking sign of the impact of climate change. Today, its white and pink surfaces attract visitors, making it a new hotspot for tourism in central Anatolia. Over 2,500 years ago, the region we now call Cappadocia was known as Cappadocia, the Low Country. It was mentioned in inscriptions of early Achaemenid emperors Darius the Great and Xerxes the Rare as one of their territories. The name Cappadocia may come from the Hittite phrase Kata Peta, meaning a place below. Greek sources called the people of this region the White Syrians, who were likely descendants of the Hittites. Herodotus recorded that one of the Cappadocian tribes, the Mosque, traced their origins back to Meshech, son of Japheth from the Bible. Cappadocia was also mentioned in the New Testament, where residents of the region were present in Jerusalem on the day of Pentecost. The area became an important center of early Christian learning, with hundreds of churches and monasteries carved into rock formations in places like Gorameh and Ihlara. Underground cities were dug throughout the region to protect inhabitants during periods of persecution. Today, Cappadocia is known for its unique landscapes, including the famous fairy chimneys, which rise from the valleys like towers in a storybook world. People call it the Dead Sea. But step closer, and you'll see it's more alive than ever. This lake lies more than 1,400 feet below sea level, making its shoreline the lowest point on Earth. It stretches about 50 kilometers long and 15 kilometers wide, with water so salty that no fish or plants can survive. The salinity is 34%, around 10 times higher than the ocean, so people naturally float on the surface. At nearly 1,000 feet deep, it is the deepest hypersaline lake in the world. For thousands of years, it has drawn visitors, from King Herod, who built palaces nearby, to Roman and Greek travelers seeking its healing powers. Ancient Egyptians even used the black asphalt that bubbled up from this lake to prepare mummies. Its mud and minerals are used in modern skincare, while tourists cover themselves in the rich black mud for fun and health. But the Dead Sea is shrinking fast. Its size has almost halved since 1930, making every visit here a glimpse of a disappearing wonder. Some of the oldest stories in the world begin along the banks of the Jordan River, where civilizations first settled. The river starts on the slopes of Mount Hermon, carving a path through northern Israel toward the Sea of Galilee. Despite its 223-mile length, the Jordan winds so much that the straight-line distance to the Dead Sea is under 124 miles. For centuries, the Jordan River has defined borders, from ancient kingdoms to modern ceasefire lines. The Greeks called it AlUla, while Arabs named it Al-Shara, highlighting its importance as a life-giving water source. Religious pilgrims come to the Jordan River to follow in the footsteps of Jesus, baptized here by John the Baptist. The river flows through a deep valley, part of the East African Rift System, with cliffs rising thousands of feet above the water. Tributary wadis cut sharp gorges into the valley walls, creating dramatic scenery along the river's course. But Iztuzu beach stretches 4.5 kilometers along the Mediterranean, forming a narrow barrier between the Dalyan River Delta and the sea. This sandy spit is one of the most important nesting grounds for the endangered loggerhead sea turtle, also called caretta caretta. Since 1988, the beach has been protected, making it part of the Koyçayız Dalyan Special Environmental Protection Area. In the 1980s, plans to build hotels and resorts threatened to destroy the turtles' nesting sites. Environmentalists like June Haymoff, along with Greenpeace and WWF, launched a global campaign to save the beach. Even Prince Philip got involved, asking the Turkish government to halt construction while an environmental review took place. Thanks to their efforts, Iztuzu Beach remained safe, becoming a symbol of international conservation success. In ancient times, Gocek served as a harbor for regional trade between nearby towns. During the Ottoman period, ships carrying chrome ore from the mountains docked here. The town's location in a protected bay later encouraged the development of marinas and yacht tourism. It officially became a protected area in 1988, which restricted tall buildings and preserved its natural coastline. The nearby tunnel, completed in 2006, improved accessibility and boosted visitor numbers. The permanent population rises significantly during summer due to tourists and maritime crews. Visitors can explore multiple small islands and coves by water taxi, private boat, or yacht tours. Over the years, the area has attracted artists, poets, and travelers seeking both beauty and history along the coast. Is this spot on your travel list now? Comment 1 if you've been, or 2 if you want to go. AlUla rises from the northwest desert of Saudi Arabia, an oasis that has witnessed over 7,000 years of human civilization. It once thrived as a key stop on the incense road, where caravans carried spices and perfumes from Arabia to the Mediterranean. The Nabateans carved grand tombs at Hegra, Saudi Arabia's first UNESCO World Heritage Site, echoing the majesty of their sister city Petra. Nearby, the walled old town of AlUla, Aldira, still preserves mud brick lanes that once bustled with traders and pilgrims. Jabal Ikma's sandstone cliffs are inscribed with hundreds of ancient writings, a library of early Arabic languages now listed on UNESCO's Memory of the World Register. Nature has also left its signature here, from towering canyons to the 52-meter Elephant Rock standing guard over the desert. AlUla was no longer just a relic of the past. It has become a living crossroads of history, culture, and imagination. According to legend, Ayia Napa began with a hidden icon discovered in a cave. A hunter stumbled upon the image of the Virgin Mary, inspiring the construction of a monastery around it. The name combines Ayia, meaning holy in Greek, with Napa, referring to a wooded valley once covering the region. Another tale recalls a Venetian noblewoman who rejected her family's command and chose to live here as a nun. For centuries, the area remained sparsely populated, with the monastery as its only landmark. It was not until the late 18th century that settlers arrived, led by Nikolaos Chimneys from Thessaloniki. During Venetian times, a church was built near the cave, strengthening its spiritual role in the region. The sacred association gave Ayia Napa its lasting identity long before it became a tourism destination. By 2014, the Cypriot government recognized its growing influence, granting it the status of a main urban center. We gather info from many sources. If you notice anything wrong or want to add more, drop a comment. We'd love to hear from you. At the end of Petra's narrow Sikh, the treasury suddenly appears, a 39.5-meter-high masterpiece carved into rose-red rock. Its name, Al-Khazneh, comes from a Bedouin legend that a pharaoh's treasure was hidden in the urn above, still scarred by bullet holes from failed attempts to open it. In truth, this grand structure was a mausoleum, likely built during the reign of King Aretas IV in the 1st century AD. Excavations in front of the monument confirmed its funerary purpose, dispelling the myth of hidden riches. The facade reflects Hellenistic influence, with Corinthian columns, griffins, scrolls, and vases adorning the stone. At its center stands the goddess Isis, surrounded by Amazons wielding axes in a frozen dance of power. A small circular hole at the entrance hints at rituals once performed here, possibly sacrifices led by Nabatean priests. In 2003, archaeologists uncovered 3 royal tombs beneath the treasury, adding depth to its mystery and meaning. A city that lives on 2 continents, that's Istanbul. Here, Europe and Asia meet, and the mix of East and West creates something truly magical. Once the heart of mighty empires like the Byzantine and the Ottoman, the city still shines with palaces, mosques, and ancient walls. Istanbul is the largest city in Turkey and the country's economic, cultural, and historical center. About 2/3 of the city lies in Europe, while the rest stretches across Asia, divided by the Bosphorus Strait. For nearly 16 centuries, Istanbul served as the capital of 4 empires: the Roman, the Byzantine, the Latin, and the Ottoman. Its historic center is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, with monuments that reveal the city's layered past. The Bosphorus is one of the world's busiest waterways, connecting the Black Sea to the Sea of Marmara and the Mediterranean. Istanbul's position along the Silk Road made it a crossroads of trade, culture, and migration between continents. Even though the Republic of Turkey established its capital in Ankara, Istanbul's palaces and mosques remain as reminders of its central role in history. The stones of this castle were carried from Yolanthe Cape, piece by piece, to build a fortress that would guard Kusadasi's harbor. Located on Pigeon Island, the structure became known as Guversinata Fortress, or Kusadasi Castle, one of the most iconic landmarks of the city. Its architecture is pentagonal, with an inner fortress built by Barbaros Hayrettin Pasha, and surrounding walls constructed by İlyas Aga. These walls were raised to protect against attacks from the Greek islanders and naval threats during the Mora revolt period. At the highest point of the island stands a tower once used by guards keeping watch over the Aegean Sea. Because it served as a police station against pirates, the fortress also earned the name Pirate Castle. The castle is surrounded by gardens and walkways, forming a public park that highlights both history and nature. In 2020, Guvernata was added to UNESCO's tentative list as part of the trading posts and fortifications on Genoese trade routes from the Mediterranean to the Black Sea. Marmaris lies on the Turkish Riviera, framed by pine-covered mountains in the blue waters of the Mediterranean. The town grew from a small fishing village into a lively port city that now welcomes travelers from all over the world. Its name comes from the Greek word marmaron, meaning marble, because this port once played a key role in the marble trade. Long before that, the Greeks called it Physkos, a harbor with a sacred grove dedicated to the goddess Leto. Alexander the Great passed through here in 334 BC, while the Ottomans later used Marmaris as a base for their fleet during the Rhodes campaign. In 1798, Admiral Nelson gathered his navy in this very bay, before sailing to the Battle of the Nile. Sailing remains at the heart of Marmaris, with major marinas and countless yachts filling its shores every season. Ferries still link the city to nearby Greek islands like Rhodes and Symi, keeping its role as a gateway across the sea. Marmaris is no longer just a village. It's a meeting point of cultures, stories, and endless horizons. Mardin's old town, protected by UNESCO, is like stepping into a living museum of Artukid architecture. The city sits on a rocky hill near the Tigris River, giving it a strategic view over Upper Mesopotamia. Its name has roots reaching back to the Neo-Assyrian period, showing that Mardin has been known for thousands of years. In Roman times, it was called Merida, a Syriac word meaning fortress, reflecting its role as a stronghold. By the early 4th century, Mount Isla nearby was home to the Monastery of Nisibis, where 70 monks once lived. From 1103 onward, Mardin became the capital of one branch of the Artukid dynasty, who built mosques, madrasas, and other landmarks that still define the city's skyline. Even after the Mongol invasion in the 13th century, the Artukids continued to rule under Mongol authority, leaving behind monuments of Islamic architecture. Later, the city passed through the hands of Timurids, Karakoyunlu, Akkoyunlu, and eventually the Ottomans, each dynasty adding another layer to its complex history. People often think love stories only belong in poems or fairy tales. But what if a real island in Turkey was named after a tragic love that ended in the waters of Lake Van? Akdamar Island is said to be named after Princess Tamar, who lit a lamp each night to guide her lover across the lake. Every night, the young man swam to the island, following the light that would lead him safely to her. One night, Tamar's father discovered the visits and smashed the lamp, leaving the boy lost in the dark waters. He drowned in the lake, and that tragedy is said to be the reason the island carries his final cry in its very name. Today, when you visit Akdamar, the Holy Cross Cathedral and the cliffs around it make the story feel alive, as if the island itself remembers the love and loss. The island rises sharply from the lake with a limestone cliff, and at its top stands the 10th century cathedral, built of pink volcanic stone. Though the old palace and monastic buildings are gone, the cathedral still holds the echoes of history and the legend of Princess Tamar. Walking around the island, visitors can feel the mix of natural beauty, ancient architecture, and the haunting story that gave Akdamar its name. Millions of years ago, volcanic eruptions covered Cappadocia with ash that hardened into soft rock. Over time, wind and water carved the soft tuff into tall spires, leaving the harder basalt on top as caps. These rock formations, called hoodoos, can reach up to 40 meters in height. The mushroom-like caps form because basalt erodes more slowly than the tuff beneath it. People in the region discovered that the soft tuff could be carved, so they hollowed out many fairy chimneys to create homes and shelters. In Pamukkale, or Monk's Valley, several fairy chimneys have 2 or 3 stems growing from the same base, and monks carved chapels and prayer areas into them. The volcanic material in the chimneys reflects sunlight differently at sunrise and sunset, showing various colors on the rock surfaces. Love Valley contains thousands of fairy chimneys with distinctive shapes, including some that contributed to the valley's unique name. Patara Beach stretches about 18 kilometers along Turkey's turquoise coast, with golden sands and clear blue waters. Patara was an ancient city and port in southwestern Lycia, playing an important role in trade, culture, and religion. The beach was directly connected to the city, allowing merchants and travelers to arrive by sea. Archaeological remains near the shore show the existence of buildings and infrastructure from ancient times. Patara Beach is also an ecological site, as loggerhead sea turtles nest along its dunes. The area is included in the Elysian Coast, Antalya UNESCO World Heritage Site, highlighting its cultural and historical value. Visitors can see both the natural beauty of the beach and the traces of its ancient city nearby. Patara Beach combines history, archaeology, and natural landscape in one continuous stretch of sand. Oludeniz, also known as the Blue Lagoon, is famous for its calm waters that stay peaceful even during storms. The town is located on the Turkish Riviera at the point where the Aegean and Mediterranean seas meet. Its sandy bay opens onto a pebble beach, with seawater showing shades of turquoise and aquamarine. The lagoon is a national nature reserve, and construction is strictly prohibited to protect its natural environment. Oludeniz Beach has received the Blue Flag designation, confirming its high standards for water quality and safety. The beach is a popular starting point for sailing trips and water activities, including diving into rich underwater caves. Mount Babada nearby provides ideal conditions for paragliding, attracting thousands of visitors each year. In the 20th century, Oludeniz grew into a well-known tourist destination, drawing travelers seeking relaxation in its natural beauty. Alanya sits on a peninsula along the Mediterranean coast, giving it a strategic location that shaped its history. Its position under the Taurus Mountains attracted empires like the Ptolemaic, Seleucid, Roman, Byzantine, and Ottoman. The city reached its peak importance under the Seljuk Sultanate of Rum, ruled by Alaeddin Keykubat I. He commissioned the construction of major landmarks, including defensive structures and a shipyard, many of which still stand. The name Alanya has evolved through centuries, reflecting its rulers, from Corusisium to Kalanoros, Ayia, and finally Alanya. During the Middle Ages, it served as a critical trade and military hub for Mediterranean powers. Modern Alanya contributes significantly to Turkey's tourism sector and foreign real estate investment. Cultural festivals and sporting events take place annually, highlighting its historical and contemporary appeal. Perched on a cliff 1,200 meters above the Altındere Valley, the monastery combines history and faith. It was founded around AD 386, during Emperor Theodosius I's reign, by two Athenian monks. The monastery became renowned for housing the icon of the Theotokos, attributed to the Apostle Luke. Over the centuries, Byzantine and Trebizond rulers restored and expanded the complex to protect its religious significance. Alexios III endowed the monastery with land, exemptions, and annual funds, ensuring its autonomy and prosperity. After the Ottoman conquest in 1461, it continued to receive protection and privileges from successive sultans. Abandoned in the 20th century due to population exchanges, it reopened in 2019 as a museum with government-funded restoration. It draws international visitors, offering insights into its long-standing religious, cultural, and historical importance. Imagine a castle taller than most 20-story buildings, but it's carved entirely from a single rock. No walls, no towers, just stones shaped by humans centuries ago. That's Ortahisar Castle in Cappadocia. The castle rises 86 meters high and is entirely made of volcanic tuff, a soft rock that was easy to carve. Archaeological research shows traces of Byzantine and Ottoman occupation, though the exact date of construction is unknown. Legend says the castle was once home to Haybe Dede, a Muslim saint who came here with his 8 siblings from Uzbekistan in the 12th century. Ortahisar Castle is part of the Göreme Historical National Park, a region famous for rock-cut churches, dwellings, and even entire towns carved into stone. Visitors can explore the castle today for a small fee, walking through the tunnels and imagining life centuries ago. Most people know Troy from stories in the Iliad, but the real city is more than a myth. Troy, also called Ilion in ancient Greek and Troetia, or Taruisha in Hittite, was located at present-day Hisarlik in Turkey. It is best known as the setting for the Greek myth of the Trojan War. The site was occupied for about 4,000 years and was repeatedly destroyed and rebuilt. In 1998, the ruins of Troy were added to the UNESCO World Heritage List, recognizing their historical and cultural significance. Bodrum Castle rises proudly on the southwest coast of Turkey, overlooking the sparkling Aegean Sea. Built in by the Knights of St. John, it was once called the Castle of St. John, Peter, and served as a stronghold against invading empires. Over the centuries, the castle faced battles, sieges, and even attacks from the mighty Ottoman Empire, but it endured through it all. Its chapel was converted into a mosque during Ottoman rule, showing how the castle adapted to each era it lived through. Stone from the nearby mausoleum of Halicarnassus was used to strengthen the walls, mixing ancient history with medieval defense. After standing empty for decades, the castle became home to the Bodrum Museum of Underwater Archaeology in the 1960s. Bodrum Castle is more than a fortress. It's a witness to centuries of history, culture, and the ever-changing tides of the Aegean world. Kayakoy was once home to 6,500 Greek Orthodox Christians, but by 1923, not one remained. Today, hundreds of their homes and churches still stand, a ghost town preserved as a museum village on a Turkish mountainside. The village was originally called Karmilesos in ancient Greek, later shortened to Lebessos, and pronounced Livisi in modern Greek. Its name evolved over centuries through Koine Greek and Byzantine Greek, before the last Greek inhabitants left. In late antiquity, the people here became Christian, and after the East-West Schism in 1054, they known as Greek Orthodox Christians. After the Greco-Turkish War and the Treaty of Lausanne in 1923, all Greek Orthodox residents were forced to leave, leaving the village empty and silent. Legends of ghosts kept settlers away, and the village remained abandoned for decades, its streets and homes slowly crumbling. Today, visitors can wander through Kayakoy's abandoned homes and churches, feeling the echoes of its past and imagining the lives of the people who once called it home. Some houses in Harran have survived for over 3,000 years without using wood in their construction. Harran is famous for its beehive-shaped houses, built entirely from mud and clay bricks. The dome design helps trap cool air inside, while letting hot air escape from the top. This structure allows the Harran houses to withstand earthquakes, heavy rains, and strong winds. Additional rooms in Harran homes can be added by building another dome next to the existing one and connecting them with an archway. The design of these homes in Harran is similar to ancient structures found in Italy, Sardinia, and South Africa. Clusters of Harran houses form a unique village layout that has remained functional for millennia. Antalya, founded around 200 BC by King Attalus II of Pergamon, was originally called Italia. The city flourished under Roman rule, which saw the construction of monuments such as Hadrian's Gate. Nearby, ancient cities like Patara, Xanthos, and Perga thrived under Roman administration. Antalya became part of the Seljuk Empire in 1207, bringing Islamic architectural influences to the region. Ottoman rule began in 1391, introducing centuries of relative stability and urban growth. After World War I, Antalya experienced brief Italian occupation before joining the modern Republic of Turkey. Antalya's historic core contains Ottoman-era structures alongside Roman and Byzantine ruins, reflecting its layered past. The city's long history, from ancient Greek foundations to Ottoman developments, makes it a key cultural destination on the Turkish Riviera. Did you know that the Duden waterfalls in Antalya cascade directly into the Mediterranean Sea? The lower Duden waterfall drops an impressive 40 meters, creating a dramatic scene for visitors. The upper Duden waterfall, smaller yet serene, is surrounded by lush vegetation and walking trails. Both waterfalls were formed over thousands of years through the erosion of limestone rocks by rainwater. Duden Park offers vantage points to observe the falls, picnic areas, trails for hiking, and wildlife spotting. Boat tours allow tourists to approach the lower Duden waterfall closely, offering unique photo opportunities. The surrounding area hosts local wildlife, including birds and small mammals, making it ideal for nature enthusiasts. Visiting in spring or fall ensures mild weather and optimal water flow, enhancing the visual spectacle. Suleymaniye Mosque in Istanbul was commissioned by Suleiman the Magnificent in 1550 and completed in 1557. Designed by the famed Ottoman architect Mimar Sinan, it is considered one of his greatest masterpieces. The mosque sits on Istanbul's third hill, providing panoramic views of the Golden Horn. It is the largest Ottoman-era mosque in the city, reflecting the grandeur of imperial architecture. Suleymaniye Mosque is part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site, Historic Areas of Istanbul. The site is protected under multiple conservation designations, including national and archaeological registers. Visitors can admire both the architectural precision and the historical significance of this iconic Ottoman landmark. Muradiye Waterfall, located between Van and Doğubayazıt, is named after Sultan Murad IV, who passed by during the Baghdad campaign. The waterfall drops 18 meters in height and stretches 60 meters wide, making it an impressive sight. It sits on the Bandi Mahi stream, which is fed by Mount Tendurek, contributing to the waterfall's strong flow. Visitors can enjoy multiple viewpoints from the upper and lower platforms along the path. The surrounding nature enhances the visual appeal, with colorful flowers blooming in spring. In winter, the waterfall partially freezes, forming intricate ice patterns over the rocks. Muradiye Waterfall provides a peaceful atmosphere for picnics and short hikes in its lush environment. Its seasonal transformations make Muradiye Waterfall a dynamic natural attraction worth visiting year-round. Amasya is a city in northern Turkey with a rich history spanning over 7,500 years. The city is situated along the Yeşilırmak River, nestled in a narrow valley surrounded by mountains. Amasya was home to ancient Pontic kings, whose rock-carved tombs still overlook the city. During antiquity, it served as a fortified city high on the cliffs above the river. It was the birthplace of Ottoman sultans Murad I and Sel I, linking the city to imperial history. Strabo, the famous Greek geographer, was born here, highlighting the city's intellectual legacy. Traditional Ottoman wooden houses line the riverbanks and have been restored for tourism, cafes, and hotels. The city's historical wealth produced artists, poets, and thinkers through multiple generations. Knidos was once part of the Dorian Hexapolis, where Greeks celebrated games for Apollo and Poseidon. The city was located on the Datça Peninsula, at the southern side of the Gulf of Gokova. Knidos was built partly on the mainland and partly on the island of Triopian, connected by a causeway and bridge. The channel between the island and mainland was formed into two harbors, with the larger southern harbor enclosed by strong moles that are still partially intact. The city stretched almost a mile in length, with walls that can still be traced throughout its circuit. Its position was favorable for commerce, allowing the Knidians to gain wealth, colonize Lipara, and found a city on Corcyra Nigra. Knidos was also home to notable historical figures, including the astronomer Eudoxus, the historian Ctesias, and Sostratus, the builder of the famous Pharos of Alexandria. During the Byzantine era, the city continued to be significant, with Christian sepulchres and Byzantine-style buildings still found among the ruins today. What if I told you that the city where the Gospel of John might have been written isn't just a story in the Bible, but a real place you can actually visit? This is Ephesus, a town in Turkey's Izmir province, and it is over 3,000 years old. The city was originally a Greek settlement and later became an important center of the Roman Empire. One of its most famous landmarks is the Temple of Artemis, which was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The Library of Celsus, built in the 2nd century, once stored thousands of scrolls for scholars and visitors. Ephesus also became a key city for early Christianity, welcoming apostles like John and Paul. Many believe that the Gospel of John was written here, and that Mary, the mother of Jesus, spent her last years in the city. The Grand Theater could seat 24,000 people and hosted plays, gatherings, and important public events. As a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Ephesus continues to attract visitors from all over the world who want to experience its history and culture. Izmir is Turkey's 3rd largest city, stretching along the sparkling Aegean coast. Its history goes back over 3,000 years, and people have lived here for more than 8,500 years. Once called Smyrna, Izmir has been a major trading hub for centuries, connecting cultures across the Mediterranean. The city blends ancient landmarks with modern life, from bustling bazaars to vibrant cafes along the waterfront. Izmir's Mediterranean climate makes the seaside perfect for strolls, festivals, and enjoying the sun. Locals are known for their friendliness and happiness, often gathering in public spaces and theaters to celebrate life together. Its roots stretch deep into mythology, with legends linking the city's name to an Amazon named Smyrna and stories of ancient kingdoms. Izmir is more than a city. It's a lively mix of history, culture, and coastal charm that leaves every visitor with unforgettable memories. The Temple of Apollo rises along the Mediterranean coast in the ancient town of Side, southern Turkey. Built around 150 AD during the Roman Pax Romana, it honored Apollo, the god of music, light, and harmony. Five towering columns have stood side by side for centuries, witnessing the passage of time and empires. Restoration work in the 1980s and again in 2017 has kept the temple strong, preserving its original Roman design. The temple is part of a larger archaeological site that draws travelers eager to explore Roman history on the Turkish coast. Nearby, modern developments like a nightclub have sparked debates about protecting the site from damage and noise. Despite these challenges, the Temple of Apollo remains a symbol of Side's rich cultural and historical heritage. Over 2,500 years ago, a city was built so grand it could host thousands, yet no one actually lived there full time. Persepolis, the ceremonial heart of the Persian Empire, rises from the Iranian plains like a palace frozen in time. Construction of Persepolis began around 515 BC under King Darius I as the central location for ceremonies and governance. The complex includes 5 main halls, or palaces, each with large entrances and intricately carved stairways. Most of the wooden parts of Persepolis were destroyed by fire when Alexander the Great captured the city in 330 BC. The ruins helped archaeologists rediscover cuneiform writing and decode Achaemenid royal inscriptions. Persepolis was built on a raised platform and designed as a ceremonial complex rather than a regular city for everyday life. The site is also known by other names, including Takht-e-Jamshid, meaning the throne of Jamshid, and Chehel Minar, meaning 40 minarets. Shining like a blood diamond, Urmia Salt Lake stretches across northwest Iran between East and West Azerbaijan provinces. This isn't just any lake. It's the largest inland lake of Iran and the 6th largest saltwater lake on Earth. In spring and summer, tiny algae lying on the lakebed turn bright red under the sun, painting the water with a surreal pink hue. The sparkling white salt shores perfectly frame this natural masterpiece, making it feel like a painting come to life. Protected as a national park, Urmia Lake is not only a natural wonder, but also a symbol of resilience and beauty in Iran's landscape. Some say Nakshi Rostam is just a necropolis. In reality, it's the burial place of 4 powerful kings from the Achaemenid dynasty, carved into the cliff more than 2,000 years ago. The most famous among them is Darius the Great, who ruled one of the largest empires in the ancient world. Each tomb is cut high into the rock face and shaped like a giant cross, with detailed carvings above the entrances. These carvings show kings receiving power from the gods, rows of soldiers and tribute bearers below. One of the most striking shows, Shapur I on horseback, with the Roman Emperor Valerian kneeling as a prisoner of war. This event happened in the year 260 AD, the only time in history that a Roman emperor was captured alive. Together, these carvings create a timeline of Persian history, from the rise of the Achaemenids to the victories of the Sasanians. Off the coast of Beirut's Rouché neighborhood, two colossal limestone towers rise from the sea, the Pigeon Rocks. Formed over millions of years, these sea stacks were once caves and arches, slowly carved by waves and wind before collapsing into the dramatic shapes we see today. Their name comes from the pigeons that once nested here, though Rouché itself echoes the French word rocher, meaning rock. For Beirutis, the rocks are more than geology. They are a symbol of their city's beauty and endurance. Hidden deep within the desert canyons of southern Jordan lies Petra, a city carved entirely from rose-red stone. Known to its ancient inhabitants as Rakhmu, it became the dazzling capital of the Nabatean kingdom in the 2nd century BC. The Nabateans transformed this harsh desert into a thriving hub of life, mastering water harvesting, agriculture, and stone carving. At its peak in the 1st century AD, Petra boasted over 20,000 residents and monumental structures like Al-Khazneh, the treasury. Its wealth came from controlling incense trade routes, turning Petra into one of the most important commercial centers of the ancient world. But Rome's conquest in 106 AD, followed by shifting trade routes and a devastating earthquake in 363, began its decline. By the early Islamic era, Petra was all but abandoned, left to nomads and the silence of the desert. In 1812, Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt brought Petra back to global attention, sparking fascination across Europe. Petra is celebrated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, one of the new 7 wonders of the world, and Jordan's proudest symbol. Vast red sandstone cliffs rise from the desert floor, earning Wadi Rum the name Valley of the Moon. Covering 720 square kilometers, it is the largest Wadi Jordan and one of the country's most striking landscapes. Prehistoric civilizations carved petroglyphs and inscriptions into its rocks, leaving behind echoes of life that date back thousands of years. Among the towering peaks is Jabal Adami, Jordan's highest mountain. The desert is still home to the Zalabia Bedouins, whose traditions of camel racing, storytelling, and hospitality define the spirit of Rum. During the Arab Revolt of 1917, T.E. Lawrence passed through here, later immortalizing its surreal beauty in 7 Pillars of Wisdom. In 2011, UNESCO declared Wadi Rum a World Heritage Site for its natural splendor and cultural history. Dubai is the most populous city in the United Arab Emirates, with more than 4 million residents in 2025. About 92% of its population are expatriates, making it one of the world's most international cities. The city was founded in the early 18th century as a pearling and fishing settlement. It became a regional trade hub after declaring itself a free port in 1901 and extending the creek in 1961. By the 1990s, Dubai had already started diversifying beyond oil, which today contributes less than 1% to its GDP. Its economy is now centered on trade, tourism, aviation, financial services, and real estate. Rapid construction since the 1990s has given Dubai one of the world's densest skylines, including the Burj Khalifa. More than 300 kilometers of artificial coastline have been created through large-scale land reclamation projects. In 2024, Dubai was the seventh most visited city globally. On the eastern edge of Ayia Napa, Konos Beach forms part of the protected Cape Greco National Park. The bay is positioned between Ayia Napa and Protaras, making it easy to reach from either resort. Its sand is bright white and slopes gently into shallow, crystal-clear water. Because the cove is sheltered by pine-covered hills, the sea here stays calm, even on windy days. Private yachts and motorboats often anchor just offshore, taking advantage of the quiet setting. The backdrop of green slopes rising above the water gives the beach a distinctive look compared to larger resorts. Local families frequently gather here on weekends and public holidays, adding to its popularity. Limassol is the second largest city in Cyprus. The city was originally built between two important ancient centers, Amathus and Kourion. Its historic core developed around Limassol Castle, which once hosted the marriage of Richard the Lionheart. Nearby, the old port became the hub of trade and activity for centuries. Over time and spread far beyond these landmarks, stretching along the southern Mediterranean coast. To the west lies Akrotiri, one of two British overseas territories still present on the island. The name of the city comes from the Greek word nemesis, meaning a one found in the middle. Limassol is recognized as a modern destination, appearing in international travel and quality of living rankings. In 2023, the City of Dreams Mediterranean opened here, becoming the largest integrated resort in Europe. The Akamas Peninsula occupies the northwest corner of Cyprus and covers about 17,000 hectares. It stretches along the coastline from the Baths of Aphrodite to Cape Arnautis and Agios Georgios Pagea. Inland, it is bordered by villages including Pagaya, Kathikas, and Neo Koryo. Roughly 7,000 hectares of this peninsula are state forests, which has helped preserve the area. The landscape includes rugged cliffs, gorges, and unspoiled beaches. Akamas is home to rich biodiversity, with many species of plants and animals unique to Cyprus. Because of its ecological value, it forms part of the Natura 2000 European network of protected areas. Visitors often explore the peninsula through hiking, biking, swimming, and diving. Akamas remains one of the last large coastal regions of Cyprus that is still mostly untouched. Few visitors know that Patara stands on the site of the ancient city-state of Lukala. In 306 BC, Demetrius Poliorcetes used its harbor to prepare for battle against Ptolemy, one of Alexander's successors. The naval clash changed Cyprus's rulers, as Demetrius defeated Ptolemy and briefly controlled the island. That history is now hidden beneath a modern resort filled with hotels, villas, and seaside restaurants. Protaras grew rapidly after nearby Ayia Napa became famous, but it developed a different character. The resort is quieter, welcoming families and local visitors who prefer a calmer atmosphere. Its beaches, with clear blue water and soft sand, are the main reason for its popularity today. Scuba diving also attracts many travelers, with several underwater sites created for beginners and experienced divers. Legends say Cappadocia took its name from a bad rock that once crushed a newlywed couple. That story is tied to a large stone near the village bridge, long known as Petra tou Androgenou. But the village's past goes back far earlier, with habitation traced to the 6th and 7th centuries. Excavations in 1938 revealed a shrine dedicated to Athena, filled with terracotta figurines and limestone statues. Bronze spearheads and arrow tips were also discovered, linking to the archaic and classical eras. Beyond its ancient finds, Cappadocia is known for its stone-paved alleys and traditional wooden balconies. With pine forests surrounding the Sumela Valley, the village is also a popular mountain retreat in summer. Ancient Greeks believed that Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty, first rose from the sea at Paphos. This legend turned the city into the most important sanctuary of her cult in the entire Aegean world. Archaeology confirms the worship of a fertility goddess here since the 3rd millennium BC, long before Homer. The sanctuary at Paphos was mentioned in the Odyssey and remained active until pagan practices were banned in 391 AD. Its priests, known as the Tineradai, claimed Phoenician descent and held significant power over the city. Pilgrims from across Cyprus and beyond visited Paphos, following the road that connected the old and new city. Today, the ruins still display the vast foundation walls that once supported one of antiquity's most celebrated temples. Kyrenia was founded by Achaean Greeks, who settled here after the Trojan War, giving the city its ancient name. Archaeological evidence shows that the wider region was inhabited even earlier, but the Achaea shaped its first urban form. Roman influence arrived in the 1st century AD, marking the beginning of Kyrenia's role as a coastal hub. From the 9th century, the city gained importance thanks to the protection offered by its fortifications. During Lusignan rule, Kyrenia prospered as a strategic Mediterranean port that never capitulated. In 1571, Ottoman forces took control, beginning centuries of rule that reshaped the town's demographics. By the 19th century, under British administration, the city shifted towards a predominantly Greek Cypriot population. The Turkish invasion of 1974 forced thousands of Greek Cypriots to leave, dramatically changing its social fabric. Today, Kyrenia is populated by Turkish Cypriots, settlers from Turkey, and foreign residents, while remaining the tourism capital of northern Cyprus. According to Greek mythology, Aphrodite, the goddess of love, was born from the sea foam around Petra to Romeo. The legend says Cronus cut Uranus and threw his severed body parts into the sea, creating the foam where the goddess emerged. The Romans knew her as Venus, and this myth turned Paphos into a major cult center in antiquity. The sanctuary of Aphrodite in Kuklia proves the scale of this devotion before it was suppressed by the Romans. A local version claims the rock itself is part of Uranus's body that drifted ashore during the myth. Another popular belief promises eternal beauty to anyone who swims around Aphrodite's rock. The name Petra to Romeo, or Rock of the Greek, connects the site with the Byzantine hero Basil, who defended the island. Nearby, beaches also carry mythological ties, said to be the landing place of Achaeans returning from Troy. This layering of myths and history makes Aphrodite's Rock one of the most symbolic sites in Cyprus. The Nile stretches about 6,650 kilometers, crossing 11 countries before reaching the Mediterranean at Alexandria. It has two main tributaries, the White Nile from Lake Victoria and the Blue Nile from Lake Tana in Ethiopia. About 80% of the river's water and fertile silt comes from the Blue Nile after its confluence at Khartoum. Ancient Egyptians called it Iteru, meaning the river, while in Coptic it was known as Piaro. The river's annual flooding enabled agriculture, allowing Egyptian civilization to flourish for thousands of years. Most of Egypt's major archaeological sites, from Luxor to Giza, were built along its banks. Greek writers later named the river Nilos, and Hesiod even described Nile as a river god. Homer once referred to it simply as Aegyptos, reflecting how closely the river was tied to the land itself. The Nile remains Egypt's lifeline, sustaining the majority of its people and economy. The Giza Plateau holds the largest and most elaborate pyramid field of ancient Egypt, built during the 4th dynasty around the 26th century BCE. Three colossal pyramids dominate the site, constructed for pharaohs Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure. Each pyramid was part of a larger funerary complex, including mortuary temples, valley temples, and long causeways connecting them. Alongside the pyramids stand smaller satellite pyramids, used for queens and members of the royal family. The Great Sphinx, carved directly from the limestone bedrock, guards the complex as a symbol of royal power and divine protection. To the south and east of the pyramids lay vast cemeteries where officials and workers were buried. Archaeological finds of a workers' village revealed that skilled laborers, not slaves, constructed the pyramids. Altogether, the Giza Pyramid Complex represents the height of Old Kingdom engineering and the ideology of divine kingship. Luxor has carried more names than almost any other ancient city. To the Egyptians, it was Waset, the seat of divine power. To the Greeks, it became Thebes, a city of 100 gates. To the Arabs, it was Al-Uqsur, the palaces. Each name reflects a different era of dominance, belief, and cultural memory. In its peak, Thebes controlled the wealth of an empire that reached into Asia and Africa. Religious festivals here, especially the Opet procession, reinforced the bond between pharaohs and the god Amun. Foreign rulers also sought legitimacy by restoring temples and carving their names into Luxor stones. Even after political power shifted to other regions, pilgrims and conquerors kept returning. The layering of identities has left Luxor a palimpsest of civilizations. Twice a year, something extraordinary happens inside Abu Simbel. At sunrise, a beam of light travels deep into the sanctuary, illuminating three seated gods and the image of Ramesses II. The only figure left in shadow is Ptah, deity of the underworld, a deliberate design choice. This alignment marked both the pharaoh's birthday and his coronation day, linking him with cosmic order. It required precise astronomical knowledge and flawless engineering in the 13th century BCE. The spectacle reinforced Ramesses II's claim that his reign was blessed by the sun itself. When the temples were relocated in the 1960s, engineers ensured this phenomenon was preserved. It is one of the clearest examples of how architecture was used to project eternal kingship. The facade of El Deir Monastery rises 47 meters high, making it one of Petra's most imposing monuments. Carved directly into sandstone cliffs, it combines Nabatean traditions with clear Hellenistic and Mesopotamian features. Abstracted Corinthian columns decorate the front, though they serve no structural purpose since the monument is hewn from rock. A massive tholos element with a conical roof dominates the center, topped by a striking urn. Square-topped towers on either side recall Mesopotamian influence, contrasting with the Doric style entablature above. The 8-meter-high doorway is the only source of light for the chamber within. The scale and stylistic blend reflect Petra's role as a crossroads of cultures in the 1st century CE. Its monumental design demonstrates how the Nabateans used architecture to project both power and spiritual presence. Doha began as a small 19th century pearling and fishing village on the Persian Gulf. In 1867, it was destroyed during a conflict with Bahrain and Abu Dhabi, but soon rebuilt under local leadership. By 1916, Doha became the administrative center of Qatar as a British protectorate. Its fortunes declined sharply in the 1930s when Japanese cultured pearls collapsed the regional trade. The discovery of oil after World War II completely reversed its trajectory. Rapid modernization erased older quarters and replaced them with planned districts and wide roads. The creation of a deep water port in the 1970s allowed ocean-going vessels to anchor at Doha. The city grew into Qatar's political and economic capital, housing nearly half of the nation's population. Doha stands as a symbol of one of the fastest urban transformations of the 20th century. Kuwait City is the capital and largest city of Kuwait, sitting along the Persian Gulf. It started as a small fishing village in the 1700s, before growing into an important trading hub. Kuwaiti ships once carried goods between India, Africa, and Arabia, making the city famous for its skilled sailors. Merchants from Basra and beyond found safety here, and trade quickly flourished. The discovery of oil in 1937 changed Kuwait forever, bringing wealth and rapid modernization. From the 1940s to the 1980s, the city enjoyed a golden era of culture, progress, and prosperity. In 1961, Kuwait gained independence and became the first Gulf country with a constitution and parliament. The 1990 Iraqi invasion was a dark chapter, but Kuwait rebuilt after the destruction. Today, Kuwait City is a modern and resilient capital that blends tradition with ambition. Hagia Sophia was completed in 537 under Emperor Justinian I, making it the largest cathedral of its time. Its massive pendentive dome represented a breakthrough in engineering and reshaped the course of world architecture. For nearly 1,000 years, it served as the spiritual center of the Byzantine Orthodox world. During the Fourth Crusade in 1204, it was converted into a Catholic cathedral before returning to Orthodox use in 1261. After the Ottoman conquest in 1453, Sultan Mehmed II transformed Hagia Sophia into the principal mosque of Istanbul. The structure inspired later Ottoman masterpieces such as the Suleymaniye and Sultan Ahmed mosques. In 1935, the secular Republic of Turkey reclassified it as a museum, attracting millions of visitors annually. Its status shifted again in 2020, when it was redesignated as a mosque, sparking both local support and international controversy. Hagia Sophia stands as a layered symbol of Byzantine, Ottoman, and modern Turkish history. Butterfly Valley lies at the base of Babada Mountain, where sheer canyon walls rise up to 400 meters. The valley stretches for about 4 kilometers, ending at a sandy beach on the Turkish Riviera. More than 100 species of butterflies inhabit this protected area, giving the valley its name. Since 1995, construction has been strictly prohibited to preserve its fragile ecosystem. Ecotourism activities such as hiking, canyoning, canoeing, and scuba diving are popular among summer travelers. Despite conservation efforts, frequent tour boats stopping at the bay remain a source of concern for locals and campers. Köprülü Canyon cuts through 366 square kilometers of Antalya province, forming steep cliffs that soar up to 100 meters above the riverbed. The canyon was shaped over thousands of years as the Kopru River carved deep channels through layers of limestone and sandstone. Its walls display visible striations and color variations, revealing geological events from the late Miocene to the Quaternary period. The national park contains Mediterranean pine and cedar forests that provide habitats for wild boars, jackals, and over 100 bird species. Adventure tourism is supported by the river's rapids, which are classified as moderate and attract thousands of rafting enthusiasts annually. Scientific studies have documented unique microclimates inside the canyon, supporting endemic plant species and maintaining high biodiversity. The Grand Chimneys Mosque sits atop Chimneys Hill and dominates the Asian side skyline of Istanbul. Its main dome reaches 72 meters high, representing the 72 nations living in the city, while the 34-meter span reflects Istanbul's license plate number. Six minarets symbolize the 6 articles of Islamic faith, with 4 reaching 107.1 meters to commemorate the Seljuk victory at Manzikert. The mosque can accommodate 63,000 worshippers, providing one of the largest prayer spaces in the world. Designers Bahar Mızrak and Hayriye Gül Totu incorporated a library, art gallery, and conference hall into the complex. The central dome is surrounded by half-domes and smaller domes, combining traditional Ottoman aesthetics with modern concrete construction. The finial atop the dome was colored using nanotechnology, making it one of the largest technologically advanced ornaments in a mosque. The mosque's design intentionally references Mimar Sinan's classical works while asserting a contemporary architectural identity. Bodrum was originally founded by Dorian Greeks and became known in antiquity as Halicarnassus. The city served as the capital of Caria under the rule of Mausolus, whose tomb was considered one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. After Mausolus's death in 353 BC, his wife Artemisia commissioned the mausoleum as a monumental burial structure. Alexander the Great's forces captured the city in 334 BC, marking a shift to Macedonian control. Successive Hellenistic rulers governed Bodrum until it was absorbed into the Roman Empire in 129 BC. Ottoman forces took control of the town after the conquest of Rhodes in 1522, integrating it into their empire. In the modern era, Bodrum transformed from a fishing and sponge diving town into a major tourism hub. Cape Greco is the easternmost point of Cyprus in the European Union, featuring dramatic cliffs and coastal scenery. The headland forms a natural boundary at the southern edge of Famagusta Bay. Its rocky hills were sacred to Aphrodite in antiquity, as recorded by classical geographers. The Cape provides a critical migratory corridor for raptors, including red-footed falcons, pallid harriers, and honey buzzards. BirdLife International has designated the surrounding zone as an important bird area due to its ecological significance. A National Forest Park status protects the Cape, though illegal bird trapping remains a conservation challenge. Tourists frequently visit for hiking, photography, and observing wildlife in its natural habitat. Troodos is the largest mountain range in Cyprus, located near the center of the island. Its highest peak is Mount Olympus, also known in Greek as Chionistra, standing at 1,952 meters. The Troodos Mountains cover about a third of Cyprus's area and stretch across much of the western side of the island. They create a significant rain shadow, influencing the island's climate. The region is dotted with mountain resorts, Byzantine monasteries, churches, and villages clinging to terraced hills. Troodos has been known since ancient times for its copper mines, which supplied the Mediterranean for centuries. During the Byzantine period, it became a center for art, with churches and monasteries built in remote mountain areas to avoid coastal threats. The mountains also host Troodos Station, a listening post used by the American NSA and British GCHQ. Troodos is home to many endemic plants and animals, including the Cyprus cedar. Larnaca was built on the ruins of the ancient city kingdom Kition, established around the 13th century BC. Archaeological evidence shows the arrival of the Achaeans and the first Greek colonists between 1200 and 1000 BC. Phoenicians settled in Kition around 1000 BC, rebuilding the city and establishing a complex of 5 temples and a naval port. The city was successively conquered by the Assyrian and Egyptian empires, followed by the Persian Achaemenid Empire. Athenian general Cimon died near Cyprus in 450 BC while supporting a local revolt against Persian rule. Strong earthquakes in 76 AD, 322 AD, and 342 AD caused extensive destruction, prompting the population to relocate closer to the coast. During the Ottoman period, the commercial port was concentrated at Scala, south of the modern Larnaca castle. Larnaca's historical layers reflect a combination of Greek, Phoenician, and Ottoman influences visible in its archaeological sites. Famagusta emerged as a major port city during the Middle Ages under Genoese and Venetian rule. Its harbor, the deepest on the island, made it a strategic gateway for trade between Cyprus and Levantine ports. Merchants used Famagusta as a key connection to the Silk Road, exporting goods to Western Europe. In antiquity, the city was named Arsinoe, honoring the Egyptian queen Arsinoe II. By the 3rd century, it was recorded as Amakostos, meaning hidden in sand, a name that persists in Greek. During Byzantine times, it was also referred to as New Justiniana, reflecting imperial patronage from Emperor Justinian. The modern Turkish name Mausa derives from the Latin Fama Augusta and was formalized as Gazi Mausa in 1975. Famagusta's medieval walls, churches, and port infrastructure highlight its historical importance as a commercial and religious center. The tombs of the kings in Paphos, Cyprus, are monumental underground burial sites, carved from solid rock during the Hellenistic and Roman periods. Despite their name, these tombs were built for high-ranking officials and aristocrats, not actual kings. Many chambers are designed to resemble houses with peristyle courtyards opening onto the main burial rooms. Excavations at the tombs of the kings began in the 19th century, led by figures like Luigi Palma di Cesnola, and continue to reveal hidden details today. Grave robbers over centuries removed much of the wealth buried here, but the tombs still display intricate stonework and carvings. The site lies about 2 kilometers north of Paphos Harbor, offering visitors a glimpse into Cyprus's ancient elite society. UNESCO recognized the tombs of the kings as part of Paphos's archaeological park in 1980, highlighting their historical significance. Pano Lefkara is a historic village on the southern slopes of the Troodos Mountains in Cyprus, known for its lace and silver crafts. The village's name comes from the Greek words lefka, meaning white, and ori, meaning mountains, referring to the local limestone. Pano Lefkara lace, called Lefkaritika, has been made here for centuries and was once purchased by Leonardo da Vinci for Milan's Duomo. Today, tourism supports the village, with visitors attracted to its traditional architecture, lace-making, and silversmith workshops. Deep in the Troodos Mountains, Varmika sits quietly, but beneath its surface lies one of the most remarkable geological sites in Cyprus. Pharmacus is built on the Troodos ophiolite, a section of ancient oceanic crust that emerged through powerful tectonic collisions. Visitors to Pharmacus can see gabbros and volcanic rocks that formed millions of years ago under the ocean. Local farmers in Pharmacus have relied on the mountain's natural aquifers for centuries, connecting human life to geology. Geologists study Pharmacus to understand how oceanic crust can survive on land, making it a rare scientific treasure. Lofu is a small village in the Limassol district of Cyprus, situated 780 meters above sea level and 26 kilometers from Limassol town. The village is named after its hilltop location and has preserved its name since Byzantine times. It is known for its charming old architecture and winding cobbled streets. The surrounding area is filled with vineyards and almond trees, offering opportunities for agrotourism. Visitors can explore a small agricultural museum, the old village school, and the traditional faucet of Alici, dating back to 1842. Lofu also has a 19th century church dedicated to the Annunciation of the Virgin Mary and a nearby chapel for Prophet Elias. Every September, the village hosts a grape fest with traditional grape products, folkloric entertainment, and wine tasting. Nicosia, also known as Lefkosia, is the capital and largest city of Cyprus. It has been continuously inhabited for over 5,500 years and became the capital in the 10th century. Nicosia is the last divided capital in Europe, split between Greek Cypriot and Turkish Cypriot communities since 1964. The United Nations buffer zone separates the Republic of Cyprus in the south from northern Cyprus in the north. This division followed decades of intercommunal violence and Turkey's invasion in 1974. Apart from its political role, Nicosia is the island's financial hub and main international business center. In 2018, it ranked as the 32nd richest city in the world by relative purchasing power. The city has had many historical names, including Ledra, Leucosia, and Leucopolis, reflecting Greek and Byzantine influences. Modern Greek speakers call it Lefkosia, while Turkish speakers call it Lefkosia, and English and Latin forms adopted the name Nicosia. Imagine walking on cliffs where ancient Greeks once built their city over 3,000 years ago. Welcome to Kourion, one of Cyprus's most famous ancient cities, perched high above Episcopi Bay. From the top of its limestone acropolis, you can see the sparkling sea stretching as far as the eye can reach. Kourion has survived earthquakes, wars, and even invasions, yet its ruins still tell the stories of a powerful kingdom. The city was a hub of trade, culture, and religion, with temples dedicated to Apollo and bustling marketplaces. Every stone here carries history, from early Greek settlers to Roman governors and Byzantine bishops. Even after destruction and rebuilding, Kourion remains a breathtaking place where past and present meet. Nestled high in the Troodos Mountains, Fikardu seems frozen in time, its red-tiled roofs untouched for centuries. Fikardu was established by dissident groups escaping anti-pagan laws and foreign invasions, giving the village a history of resilience. The stone houses of Fikardu, mostly built in the 18th century, showcase folk architecture unique to Cyprus. In the 19th century, Fikardu was largely abandoned, which helped preserve its intricate wooden doors and narrow streets. Fikardu is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, preserving the harmony of history, architecture, and nature. From the slopes above Cape Aspro, Pissouri offers sweeping views of green hills and sparkling Mediterranean waters. Pisuri grew between Limassol and Paphos. Its name likely linked to the Byzantine-era pine sap industry, called Pisa. The village is divided into Pisuri Village Area and Pisuri Bay Area, where locals and foreigners live side by side. Pisuri hosts about 1,100 permanent residents, roughly half Cypriot and half international, mostly British. Legends say German saints once landed on Pisuri's coast during a pitch-dark night, giving the village a mystical aura. Grapes and wine are traditional products of Pisuri, with fertile valleys sustaining agriculture for centuries. In recent years, Pisuri residents have expanded into construction and residential projects, transforming the village economy. Despite modernization, Pisuri continues to celebrate its agricultural roots, festivals, and scenic landscapes that define its character. Amman, the capital of Jordan, rises across 19 hills, blending ancient ruins with bustling modern streets. Evidence of settlement in Amman dates back to the 8th millennium BC at Ain Ghazal, where the oldest human statues were discovered. During the Iron Age, Amman was the capital of the Ammonite kingdom, known then as Rabat Amman. In the 3rd century BC, the city became Philadelphia under Macedonian rule, joining the Greco-Roman Decapolis. The Rashidun Caliphate renamed the city Amman in the 7th century AD, restoring its Semitic roots. Amman was largely abandoned during the Ottoman period, until Circassian settlers revived the city in 1878. Today, Amman is Jordan's economic and cultural heart, hosting multinational companies, museums, and lively marketplaces. Al-Sik Canyon forms the dramatic entrance to Petra, guiding visitors between sandstone cliffs 80 meters high. The 1.2-kilometer-long Sik was carved by tectonic forces and later polished by centuries of water flow. At Petra's entrance, the Sikh leads to Al-Khazneh, one of the most elaborate Nabatean ruins still visible today. Archaeologists believe only 15% of Petra has been uncovered, leaving most of the city hidden beyond the Sikh. A dam at the Sikh's mouth, reconstructed in the 20th century, reflects the ancient Nabateans' water management techniques. Votive niches along the canyon walls suggest that the Sikh was sacred to the Nabatean people. In 1998, excavations in the Sikh revealed life-size statues of merchants leading camels, offering a glimpse into trade in ancient Petra. Some underground chambers along the Sikh likely housed guards who protected Petra's grand entrance. Beneath modern streets, Jerash hides secrets from 7,500 years ago, waiting to be uncovered. The city first appeared at Tal Abu Sawan, where Neolithic remains reveal some of the earliest human settlement in Jordan. During the Greco-Roman period, Jerash became Gerasa, one of the Decapolis cities celebrated for its grand architecture. The 749th Galilee earthquake leveled much of the city, with subsequent tremors adding layers of ruin. In 1121, Crusader forces destroyed Jerash after a brief occupation, leaving the city deserted for centuries. Ottoman records show small populations living amid the ruins, with Mamluk structures scattered in the northwest quarter. Beneath the sands of Upper Egypt, the Temple of Edfu hides stories of gods, kings, and ancient rituals. The temple was built between 237 and 57 BC during the Ptolemaic kingdom, dedicated to Horus, the falcon-headed god. Its massive walls are covered with inscriptions that describe the mythical creation of the world and Horus's battle against chaos. Edfu was constructed on the site of an earlier temple, preserving a naos from the time of Nectanebo II in its inner sanctuary. For centuries, the temple fell into disuse after pagan worship was banned in 391 AD, and many reliefs were damaged by early Christians. Over time, drifting desert sands and Nile silt buried the temple almost completely, leaving only the top of its pylons visible by the late 18th century. French Egyptologist Auguste Mariette began excavating the site in 1860, revealing its nearly intact hypostyle hall, chapels, and bark sanctuary. The Temple of Edfu is a major stop on Nile River cruises, allowing visitors to walk through the corridors of myth and history, almost 2,300 years old. Few temples in Egypt display the brutality of history as vividly as Medinet Habu. This mortuary temple, built for Ramesses III around 1186 to 1155 BC, immortalizes the pharaoh's triumph over the Sea Peoples. Its walls are covered with reliefs showing chariots, prisoners, and naval battles, a rare glimpse into ancient military campaigns. Some stones were reused from the earlier mortuary temple of Queen Tausret, blending eras of Egyptian power in a single site. The site was inhabited continuously until the 9th century, later becoming the Coptic center of Yemen. Excavations in the late 19th century uncovered nearly intact pylons, halls, and chapels, buried under 12 meters of sand and Nile silt. Artifacts like quartzite statues, once of Tutankhamun, reveal how later pharaohs repurposed symbols of authority. Medinet Habu stands as both a historical archive of warfare and a monumental testament to New Kingdom architecture. Karnak Temple is a sprawling complex that grew over 1,500 years, reflecting the ambitions of over 30 pharaohs. Originally named Ipet Isut, meaning the most selected of places, it was the spiritual heart of Thebes. Its largest precinct, dedicated to Amun-Re, dominates the landscape with colossal pylons, obelisks, and hypostyle halls. The complex also houses sanctuaries for Mut and Montu, linking multiple deities within a single sacred city. Construction spans from the Middle Kingdom through the Ptolemaic period, layering architectural styles and religious symbolism. Later cultures, including Copts, adapted the structures, demonstrating the site's continuous religious significance. Visitors can walk along avenues lined with sphinxes, imagining festivals, rituals, and royal processions held over millennia. Dendera Temple is located about 2.5 kilometers southeast of Dendera city, on the west bank of the Nile. It is dedicated to Hathor, goddess of love, music, and fertility, and served as a major cult center in Upper Egypt. Construction of the temple complex spans the Middle Kingdom, Ptolemaic, and Roman periods, reflecting centuries of architectural development. The surrounding mud brick walls outline a compound that once housed thousands of residents and priests. Archaeological evidence shows earlier temples on the site dating back to around 2250 BCE. Wall reliefs inside depict celestial events, ritual scenes, and interactions between gods and pharaohs. Visitors can explore the roof terraces and chapels, gaining views of the Nile and the surrounding desert. The complex illustrates the continuity of religious practices and Egyptian temple architecture across more than a millennium. Standing before the Great Sphinx, one can feel the profound mystery carved into limestone over 4,500 years ago. Its lion's body and human head symbolize royal power and divine protection. Scholars debate whether the face represents Pharaoh Khufu or Khafre, adding an enduring layer of intrigue. Measuring 73 meters long and 20 meters high, the Sphinx is one of the world's largest and oldest monolithic statues. Multiple restorations over the centuries have preserved the base and overall shape, demonstrating ancient Egyptian engineering skill. The missing nose was not destroyed by Napoleon, but was deliberately removed in pre-modern times. The Sphinx sits within the Memphite necropolis, alongside pyramids, tombs, and temples that reinforce its sacred context. Perched on an island in the Nile, the Philae temple complex appears almost suspended between water and sky. Originally located on Philae Island near the First Cataract, the temple faced submersion after the construction of the Aswan High Dam. UNESCO and international teams carefully dismantled and relocated the entire complex to Agilkia Island, saving its 95 monumental structures from flooding. Philae is dedicated primarily to Isis, the goddess of motherhood and magic, whose cult thrived here for centuries. Hieroglyphs and inscriptions preserve details of mythology, religious rites, and the temple's own construction, providing rare insight into Ptolemaic-era Egypt. The relocation and restoration, completed in 1980, make Philae both a symbol of ancient devotion and modern ingenuity and heritage preservation. The Ramesseum is the mortuary temple of Rameses II, located in the Theban necropolis on the west bank of the Nile across from Luxor. Construction began shortly after Rameses II ascended the throne and continued for approximately 20 years. The temple follows the standard New Kingdom design, with 2 large pylons, open courtyards, a 48-column hypostyle hall, and an inner sanctuary. Wall reliefs depict Rameses II's military campaigns, including the Battle of Kadesh against the Hittites, as well as religious rituals and royal family ceremonies. The seated colossus of Rameses II, originally 19 meters tall and weighing over 1,000 tons, once flanked the temple entrance. Only fragments remain today. Smaller chapels within the complex honor Rameses's mother Tuya and his chief wife Nefertari. Archaeologists discovered a Middle Kingdom shaft tomb beneath the hypostyle hall, showing that the site was sacred before the temple was built. The Temple of Kam Ombo is a double temple located in the town of Kam Ombo in Upper Egypt. It was built during the Ptolemaic dynasty between 180 and 47 BC, with later additions made during the Roman period. The temple's unique design duplicates all its courts, halls, sanctuaries, and rooms for two sets of gods. The southern half is dedicated to Sobek, the crocodile god associated with fertility and creation, together with Hathor and Khonsu. The temple is perfectly symmetrical along its main axis, which is unusual in Egyptian architecture. Its reliefs and texts describe the cults, legends, and rituals of the gods worshipped at Kam Ombo. The original New Kingdom temple on the site no longer survives, but the Ptolemaic construction preserves its religious significance. Many parts of the temple were damaged by the Nile, earthquakes, and later builders reusing stones for other projects. The southern plateau was cleared and restored by Jacques de Morgan in 1893, preserving what remains of the structure. Alexandria is Egypt's second largest city and the largest on the Mediterranean coast. It is located at the western edge of the Nile Delta and was founded in 331 BC by Alexander the Great. The city quickly became a major center of Hellenistic civilization, eventually surpassing Memphis as Egypt's capital under the Ptolemaic pharaohs. Alexandria extends about 40 kilometers along the northern coast of Egypt, making it the largest city on the Mediterranean. It is the second largest city in Egypt, the fourth largest in the Arab world, and the ninth largest urban area in Africa. The city was originally built near an Egyptian settlement named Rhakotis, which became the city's Egyptian quarter. Alexandria was a major intellectual and cultural center of the ancient Mediterranean during the Hellenistic Age and late antiquity. The city lost prominence after the Muslim conquest in 641 AD, but it revived in modern times as a major international shipping and trade center. Once a small fishing village, Hurghada now stretches along 40 kilometers of Egypt's Red Sea coast as the largest city in its governorate. The city's name comes from the Arabic word for the nitraria plant, garkad, which is mentioned in a hadith. The region has been inhabited since the 4th century, when the nearby settlement of Abu Shar was established 20 kilometers north. Originally a Roman military fort for the Ala Nova Maximiana unit, between 309 and 311 AD, Abu Sha'ar later became a Christian community around 400 AD. The settlement declined after the Sasanian or Arab conquest of Egypt. Modern Hurghada was founded in 1905 by Ababda fishermen along a natural harbor. Hurghada and Shadwan Island saw military action during the War of Attrition and the October War of 1973. More than 1 million tourists visit annually to enjoy its beaches and marine activities. Hierapolis, meaning Holy City, was founded over 2,000 years ago on a site sacred to the Phrygian goddess Cybele. The city became famous for its hot springs, which people visited for healing and relaxation since ancient times. Hierapolis was also known for its high-quality wool fabrics and colorful dyes, making it a center of trade. The ancient theater and temples show how Greek and Roman culture shaped the city over centuries. A large necropolis surrounds Hierapolis, including the tomb of Philip the Apostle and other important burials. Major earthquakes in AD 17 and 60 destroyed parts of the city, but it was rebuilt in Roman style with baths, streets and fountains. The city became an early Christian center, with temples transformed into churches and bishops guiding the community. Over time, invasions and natural disasters led to Hierapolis being gradually abandoned. Today, visitors can walk among the ruins, explore the necropolis and soak in the hot springs, while imagining life in this ancient city. Across the vast deserts and fertile valleys, the Middle East reveals landscapes shaped by millennia of human history. Ancient caravan routes wind through mountains and plains, connecting cities that once thrived on trade and culture. Stone ruins and old fortresses stand quietly, telling stories of kingdoms long gone and battles fought for survival. In small towns, markets hum with the rhythm of daily life, where spices, textiles, and traditions have been preserved for generations. Oases provide life and shade, their palms swaying gently under the endless sun. Scholars, artisans, and travelers all left their mark, blending knowledge, art, and faith into the region's rich tapestry. Rivers, deserts, and coasts hold secrets of civilizations that rose, fell, and left traces still visible today. Thank you for joining this adventure, and we hope to see you on the next journey.